It's such a blessing and such an honor and such a joy to introduce our next speaker, who really needs absolutely no introduction. Marianne Williamson is an internationally known, internationally beloved author, activist, transformational leader. She's written 14 books, out of which 7 of them are on the New York Times best-selling list. She truly is bringing such wisdom, such inspiration to people across the world, across all walks of life. She also, as most of you know, ran for president of the United States in the recent election for the Democratic Party, which is just such an embodiment of the way that she translates, channels her own spiritual awareness, experience, wisdom into action, into service, to really bring equality, justice to people not only of America, but to people of the entire world. And of course, all of that is rooted in her deep philosophy, her deep practice, and her deep sharing of love. She's the founder of Project Angel Food, which brings love in the form of food to people who are homebound, who are ill, who are ailing. To date, they've delivered over 13 million meals. So there's so much more to tell you about her, but I want to actually invite her to come on. The only last piece to share is that I have had the very personal joy and honor of being with her at the Parliament of World Religions, in which we shared together about the power and importance of the divine feminine in the creation and the sustenance and the protection and preservation of Mother Nature and Mother Earth. And Marianne is just such a great leader, mentor, inspirer, teacher. And I'm so, so glad and so honored to have her with us today. Marianne, welcome.
Well, thank you. That was such a generous introduction. I appreciate it. And it's an honor to be here. Thank you, Sadhviji.
As you know, today we are here speaking about freedom, liberation. And I would love it if you could share a personal experience in which you found yourself awakening into experiencing freedom, liberation.
I don't subscribe to the eureka theory of personal transformation. One moment, like Paul on the road, and then all of a sudden you get it. What I've experienced is what I think most people experience, which is a spiritual and personal maturation process by which you come to understand that this world is not it. And that, much like Buddha said, our attachment to the things of this world, our grasping for the things of this world, are in fact the source of our suffering. And that as we free ourselves from thinking that anything in this world can ultimately satisfy us, then we are freed of those false attachments. And we can live in a different realm of emotional, psychological, and spiritual understanding. And that is the only place where there's peace. And it does feel like we have been liberated and freed from a certain level of anxiety and emotion-backed lust for people and things that doesn't serve us. Now, a lot of people hear that and get nervous because they think that that means that you will no longer enjoy ice cream, or you'll no longer get to have something pretty in your apartment or something like that. And of course, it's the opposite. We actually have a much healthier relationship to this plane, the mortal, the material plane, including a healthier ability to attract that which would serve us on our journey and enjoy what's there, when we actually know that this ain't it. So my personal experience is that when I meditate, I'm a student of A Course in Miracles. I also do transcendental meditation. When I do my meditation and practice the principles, I am there enough. There have been very few times in my life when I felt, in this moment, I've completely transcended. But I have enough of a operational ground of being that gives me peace more often than not, which derives from my freedom, from the freedom from my false belief that this world is what's really going on. Once you know, of course, I'm a student of the Course in Miracles, so that's the main contextualization, although I believe there's one truth spoken in many different ways. I think all the great religious and spiritual teachings point to that same truth. The Course is based on that universe, those universal spiritual themes, that beyond this world, there is a world I want. That this world is like a veil of illusion, that beyond the three dimensions, there is love and love only. And to be freed from the thought that the guilt is real, the material things matter as much as I think they do, to be freed from the belief that we're separate from God, to be freed from the belief that we're separate from each other, to be freed from the belief that this mortal bodily experience is all there is, to be freed from the belief that my guilt or anyone else's defines who we are, to be freed from the belief that I need to go make it happen rather than be the person who naturally attracts and can receive what happens. These are the dynamics of freedom that give me the life that works.
Thank you. Thank you. That was so, so beautiful. And as people everywhere are suffering in so many different ways, from that illusion, from so much of that which you spoke about, finding some degree of freedom from, how would you suggest that others can find this maturation process that you spoke about that you've been through? How would you suggest that others can blossom on that maturation process in such a way that they too can find some degree of freedom, of liberation from that which binds them, from that which is causing suffering for them?
If you ask in your heart, books will fall at your feet. You didn't think you were looking for it, and you found yourself in India, and you had that experience. I saw the Course in Miracles. Most people either have a path, they know it's the one, they're just not walking it, or they just know that it's kind of in general. I mean, they're here, they're listening to us, but they don't know where to go or what to do. There's your book, there's my book, there are a million other people's books. There's the original source material of the great religious and spiritual traditions, especially in today's world. Especially in today's world. If you want to find a path, and it's the path of love, it's the path of forgiveness, it's the path of meditation, it's the path of prayer. And if you're looking for it and you're clear about that in your heart, that path, that teacher, whether it's an external teacher or an internal teacher, will appear in your life.
You mentioned so beautifully and so aptly that people have a path, they're just not walking it. What would you suggest to those who have the books? They have fallen at their feet or have the path, but they just aren't walking it. For whatever reason, they cannot bring themselves to just put one foot in front of each other on the path that they know they're supposed to walk.
There's no cannot there. There's a do not choose to there. And the only mature response at this point is enjoy your pain. I mean, come on. We all need to stop coddling that in ourselves. Or to you, poor thing, you can't. No, you chose not to. There's a difference. When you look at what the great systems are asking of your time, Course in Miracles or any other, very few of them in the modern sort of iterations are asking for what? Maybe 20 minutes in the morning, maybe 20 minutes in the afternoon. And even there, it's building up to that. There is no can't here. Okay, so that's the first thing we need to do. And that is because the anxiety of the world is a perverse comfort zone. It's what we're used to. The freneticism. I mean, you sit down to meditate for 10 minutes and you find yourself opening your eyes and checking your phone. Well, you simply realize instead of that, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to set my alarm clock on my phone. And if it's a 10-minute meditation or a 15-minute meditation or a 20-minute meditation, I'm going to put it on the other side of the room. And I'm not going to open my eyes until that alarm goes off. Now, you find some very interesting things there because you have to sit with, why is this so difficult? Why am I so attached to the hysteria? But then it burns away. It burns away. But we do need to get over, I can't. No, you can't. You've done a lot harder things for a lot more money. This costs no money. All it's asking is 20 minutes of silence and you can't. So that shows us the level of resistance that the mind has. And I think that's what we need to be with each other. So I would never show the disrespect to someone to say, oh, poor darling, you can't. To me, it shows respect to people to say, it's your choice. It's like physical exercise. If you do it, it works. If you don't, it doesn't. It's like going to AA, the 12 steps of AA. If you do it, it works. If you don't, it doesn't. If you do the workbook of the Course in Miracles, it works. If you don't, it doesn't. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, and the world has gone too far for us to be anything less than taking this very, very seriously now. And there is a level on which, when you meditate and when you practice these things, you literally become an instrument for global transformation in a way and at a time at which, if we don't, there are questions about whether or not the world as we know it will survive. So I think we all need to say to each other, step it up.
Yes, yes, beautiful. Really, really beautiful. Thank you. Lastly, you spoke about the situation of the world today. And
I'm sorry, the situation?
Of the world. You spoke about the situation of the world today.
Yes, yes.
And the need for people to step it up.
Right.
And we've spoken, you and I together at other times, about the environmental situation. Yeah. And I'm wondering if just in closing, you could share some thoughts on, here we are in this pandemic, now entering the second year, well into our second year of it. And as we have been locked down, shut down in this environment, in this situation, in this fear, what deeper understandings with regard to freedom and liberation and the way for us to find and embrace that have come to you?
I heard our colleague, Carolyn Mace, say, COVID is not just the disease, COVID is also the medicine. Someone else said, it's like Mother Nature saying to humanity, go to your room and think about what you've done. It's a forced quieting, which is probably our only salvation. Because as Gandhi said, humanity is not in its right mind. The problem with the world is that we're not in our right mind. Blaise Pascal said, every problem in the world is rooted in mankind's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. So even though nothing makes us more hysterical than that quiet room. Just like we were talking about before, you can't get yourself to close your eyes for 10 minutes without wanting to open your eyes and check your emails, right? That activity of the mind, which does not know how to be quiet within itself, is the problem, because it is separation from self. It is deviation from self. It is a fractured consciousness. I think that for the entire world to be reminded that we aren't in control. This virus has been in control. We have not been in control. That, like other issues, such as the environmental crisis, we're not as smart as we apparently thought we were. And if we don't humble ourselves, and rather quickly, then forces of chaos that we had previously been distracted from, ignoring, minimizing, or in whatever other way, turning away from, will make themselves heard in ways that are possibly catastrophic globally. I think that just as during the AIDS crisis many years ago, it was an experience unlike any other to be that up close with issues of life and death. And COVID has done that. I think a lot of people have matured. And I know in the United States, we've had a crisis of post-adolescence. People, too many women who behave like little girls, too many men who behave like little boys. And I think as difficult as this period has been, a lot of people are growing up in ways that perhaps you can't register externally, but which I think will have external ramifications in the years to come. I think that there is a great, I don't want to say battle, because while fear does battle, love doesn't fight back. But there is a great simultaneous phenomenon. The forces of fear are intensifying, the forces of disintegration and devolution are intensifying, and the forces of love and evolution and enlightenment and liberation are also intensifying, because they're resonating more powerfully because more people are opening to them. So this great blossoming is occurring at the same time. And I don't think any of us individually can see the whole plan. But what we can do is surrender ourselves. What we can do is say, use me, and go where, as you and I were talking about before, where does love lead me today? Where would love have me be? You want me to go to India, God? I'll go to India. You want me to go to Los Angeles? I'll go to Los Angeles. Where do you want me to go? What do you want me to do? What do you want me to say, and to whom? And there's some central intelligence, just like in the body, every cell is assigned. I think we're all cells in the larger body, and we're assigned. And faith means to me knowing. Love will prevail. Love will prevail. The Course in Miracles says God's will has never not been done. What that means in terms of how much human suffering or other species suffering will have to occur before love prevails, that's completely up to us. That's where free will comes in. We can go wisely, or we can go because we're so dangerous and reckless that we call upon ourselves the great pain and the great sorrows that will force us to awaken. All that really matters is that we, in our own way, preparing ourselves every morning with prayer, with meditation, with whatever our work is, that enables us to be aligned with the thoughts, with the feelings, with the energies, to show up for this great birth. And I do believe one of two things will happen if you do this. You will either live to see it, or you'll die knowing you did what you could while you were here. Either way, it's a win.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
such a depth of wisdom of presence, of clarity, and of love.
Well, thank you. Thank
Infuse
you.
it all.
And thank you for your wonderful book. And I hope it finds its way into the hands of many, many, many people whose life I know will be blessed from reading it. So good luck to you with that.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you so much for
You're so welcome.
your beautiful support.
God bless you, honey.
Mm.